Hello, 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 ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls. Hope everybody's doing well.
Hey, well, Anthony's notorious. Anthony's notorious to say just a thought, not a sermon, right? You know what I mean?
Right?
Because I mean, they were giving Alabama like Alabama was this. If Alabama didn't lose their two star receivers, it'd be a different ballgame.
What happened? Did they just not show up that day, or was it
you got
to systematically beat?
So is it because he didn't get the opportunities we thought he would get because of Kirby Smart's offense? More like, I know this is more of a passing.
Okay, which, hey, who knows? It might have been, might have not been. Who knows? But then again, that's why they call it football. I mean,
you asking me like wait. You asking me like I was on the sidelines holding Kirby belt loose? I don't know.
I'm just saying, Jesus said, even the very rocks will cry out with his word when he returns. True. So
he did endure because the race today was definitely not given to the swift, but it's down to the strong. Each other, and as we say every week, go dogs.
Go dogs.
Oh man, that's definitely going on the blooper reel.
This kid needs to go to bed, man.
Hey, now that I'm looking at that, that's a little long. We're going to have to trim that down. Hey, how y'all doing, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Today is Tuesday, 2/15/2022. Hope you went to CVS and Walgreens and Kroger's and Walmart and bought all the 75% off chocolate that you can get your hands on. Hope you enjoyed your Valentine's Day weekend. Hope you enjoyed Super Bowl weekend. Welcome to Episode 3 of Season 2 of This Week in SEC Football. I am Mr. Fingaz, coming to you from Zagnip Central. That handsome fellow right over there to my immediate, whatever direction that is you guys are looking on the screen. The brother from another mother, the sexy mother Hubbard with the face in your face and the ace in the place. Collin P. How you doing, bro?
Hey, what it is, showbiz, man? I'm doing good. Good news.
I love that. He said that to me one day, and I was like, you got to incorporate that in the intro. What it is, showbiz. And over there, all the way on the far right-hand side, to your right, my left of your screen, we have a special guest joining us today. He comes to us through West Virginia by way of a state somewhere between North Carolina and my home state of Georgia. He is the biggest fan of the Mountaineers that I have ever met in my entire life, and he thought that it was not robbery to join us today, ladies and gentlemen. Gold and Blue Dude, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I decided to make the trip into the heart of SEC country. I am not scared. I'm here.
Ain't nothing to be scared of, man. We good for now. We good since that last.
Y'all good people. Y'all good people.
Oh, we appreciate that. We appreciate that.
We do appreciate that.
We appreciate that. Oh man! So for those of you that are, before we go another further, and I borrowed this from you, GB, is what I need for you guys to do. Everybody under the sound of our voices and looking at our faces right now, go ahead and smash that like button, press that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and give it a share. If you're on YouTube, give it a share. I don't know how to put hot links on IG, but if you figure it out, you can throw it up there too. So, because every share and like that you give us helps to boost us in the algorithms and get our word out to everybody. And we appreciate you for tuning in today. And before I go another further, I got to first off give a shout out to our show sponsor. They sponsor us every week. That is DJG Enterprises and Greek Gans. They customize and make it custom gear. They do specialize towards Greek letter organizations, but they can make custom Greek gear for you. Custom sports gear for you, I'm sorry. So go ahead and give them a visit at www.greekgans.com today. Thank you for being a sponsor this week in SEC football. And for some reason, that does not want to get off my screen. It won't get off the screen. There we go. Oh, and it's coming back. And it's going away. There we go.
We got it.
We got it. Sometimes we have those days like that. When you're a one-man show, you got to go with what you got.
No.
One man band.
So GB, real quick, tell us a little bit about yourself, man, before we get into it.
Well, lifelong Mountaineer fan, speaks for itself. And whenever I have conversations with people, they let me know, dude, West Virginia dominates your conversation. So even my family directed me towards YouTube. Dude, you need an outlet for this. You're sick. You have the sports sickness. So, that's how I ended down the road of YouTube, and I've enjoyed the ride so far. It's pretty fun. Love it.
How long you been How long have you been doing the Gold and Blue videos?
It's gonna be 3 years in September, but I've been doing videos every day for about a year and a half now.
Okay. And for those of you that do not believe that you can make something happen doing this, I just first caught the Gold and Blue Dude show on YouTube right around the start of football season, so right around September-ish.
Yep.
On a whim, because I follow Uncle Lou. He's probably the biggest University of Georgia YouTuber there is out there. And, how it gave me a suggested video. It's like, Gold and Blue Dude, I'll check this out. I checked it out, and I was like, I like this dude. And then the videos kept popping up, and you had some funny ones and some serious ones. I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and subscribe to my man's channel. He had 2,500. He was celebrating at that point in September, just breaking like the 2,500 mark. He said, our goal is to get to like 3,000 or something like that by the end of the year. Well, right now, as of today, he's sitting on what, 5,200?
5,300.
5,300. My bad, bro. I didn't mean to. He's sitting on 5,300 subscribers. So if you're out there and you're doing it, and you got the vision to do it, and just get out there and do it. That's all I got to say. That's
exactly, man.
Me and Collin, we weren't even thinking about this. I was doing the show with a totally different concept when we came to doing this. And now here we are. This is our 29th episode.
Nice. Hey, it's true what they say, man. Do what you love. All right. If you're not happy what you're doing, do what you love. And if you can't quit what you don't like doing right now, that's fine. But get started on what you love.
Yeah. Set your foundation, because, house can't stand without a good, strong foundation.
Exactly.
So definitely. So we appreciate having you on the show today. We're gonna jump right into it. We got a little bit behind, but not too terribly far behind. Yeah. And today is what we call today is what is it? Mid-season replacements, when all the shows come out all at one time to just come on while the shows are on summer hiatus. We are part of the Let's Talk Football family of podcasts. Right now, there are currently 2 podcasts working. If you're not an SEC person, we do appreciate you if you stick around. But if you got to jump, go over and check out my boy Sean Spencer and his homegirl Janae Strother over at Let's Talk Football. After that, yours truly will be live again on Let's Talk Football, the Roundtable. And our homeboy Nate Snell will be live tonight on the Big Nate podcast, strictly on YouTube. And GB will be live. You got a live show tonight too, right?
Yes, sir. 8 o'clock, right after this show.
Right after this show. So we gonna get right on into it. Apparently there was a rap concert in Los Angeles on Saturday. Ooh. And somewhere in the middle of the rap concert, a football game broke out.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be a football game with a good story. We had a guy that was getting up every day. Remember that Gotta Make the Donuts commercial? This poor guy was getting up and going to make the donuts every year for 12 years, and the donuts were stale, and the chocolate sauce was bad, and they had bugs in the flour, and he finally got an opportunity to get with another company out in California, and took him all the way to the top. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Matt Stafford with the Los Angeles Rams leaving Detroit. You guys know the story. Don't have to recap it for you. On the other side, the young man that captivated the nation in 2019 with his LSU's national championship run, got drafted. He was the number 1 pick, wasn't he?
Yep.
Number 1 pick for Cincinnati Bengals. Had a very disappointing conclusion to his first season with broken leg. Said, I'll be back. Pulled an Arnold Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper now. We must go. And took his team from 4 wins all the way to the Super Bowl, representing the AFC North, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. We know how it ended. There's a lot that can be said about it. We're just going to do a real quick recap. So my thoughts, first off, Cincinnati, you need an offensive line. Your boy got sacked 70 times this year, and a third of that was in the last 3 games of the season. Do something before you get that boy hurt, because you got a valuable asset on your hands.
Again.
Joe Burrow, I can't really say anything about him that everybody else has not already said. I mean, the kid has got the heart of a lion and the will of Hercules. I mean, he all but willed his team into the Super Bowl, running on a MacGyver diet of paper clips and chewing gum. So, and then, Collin and I, both being dog fans, we can't say enough about seeing him finally get a Super Bowl ring after all that he's been through. And we all know the story with him and his wife and how they met when they were in Athens. And Sony Michel got another ring. I'm not trying to dog Michel. He didn't necessarily contribute too terribly much to but the other dog with a ring. And Floyd got himself a nice little sack. So overall, I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a great game. It wasn't as high scoring as I thought it was, but I think it was a great game. And I enjoyed the halftime show. But that's all I got. Collin, what you got, sir?
Yeah, no, I agree with that very much. I like Burrow. It was a great story with him, and I agree with you about the offensive line. Yeah, he was scrambling, and but I mean, can't say enough about Stafford finally getting his ring. Me, being a Georgia boy and watching him kind of struggle and kind of just get up every day to go to work in Detroit for just kind of a non-eventful season year after year after year after year. So he finally got his ring, and I was happy for Floyd to get his. But man, I mean, Cooper Kupp, man, he's phenomenal. I mean, like what he do? He did something that who was it? Jerry Rice did in like 3 years. He did it in one season. What were the records or the records he set? I mean, but
the triple crown, the wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you can't say enough about that. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the game, enjoyed the halftime show too. I mean, my boy was in here dancing around, and he was rocking out. So yeah, it was a good show.
Now, what was it? And then what was it? Oh gosh, I can't remember what position he played, but he came through from LSU, and he is now the oldest man to start in a Super Bowl.
Oh,
I think with Whittington. I forget what his name is, but he's now. Yeah, he was the guy that they would showcase, the NFL Man of the Year. He won the Walker Man of the Year award. Yeah. He's also, I think, the oldest guy to start in the Super Bowl. He broke that record from Jerry Rice and win. So,
wow.
But
yeah, everything they threw up, man, he was pulling down, and it was amazing to watch.
Yeah,
they knew they were going at him, and he was still catching.
But I'm not surprised with the ending because quick backstory. So I'm from the state of West Virginia. That's where I was born. West Virginia doesn't have a pro football team. Okay, so if you live in the southwestern part of the state or central, you're a Bengals fan. Western part of the state, you're a Cleveland fan. Eastern part of the state, you're a Washington D.C. fan. Well, I'm bottom left, so I'm a Bengals fan, and I knew we were going to lose because none of my teams, in my remembrance, have won a championship. So the drought continues. I'm glad that they got that far. I didn't expect Cincinnati to get to the Super Bowl and beat Kansas City twice. That's insane, especially at Arrowhead. That wasn't supposed to happen. And then it looked like there for a while that Cincinnati was going to win the Super Bowl. But the Rams, I think the best team in the NFL won the Super Bowl. That's my belief. I don't think that always happens. I really don't. But this year it did. The Rams were the best NFL team. They rightfully won the Super Bowl. Congratulations to the Rams.
Yeah, and lots of celebrating. I did see a story. You get all the little side stories about things that people have done and their teams haven't been to the championship in forever. There was a couple from Cincinnati that has a bottle of champagne that they bought on the eve of the Super Bowl. Let's see, 1988. So you're talking, we're going back 34 years ago. They bought that champagne 34 years ago with the intent to crack it after the game was over. Well, they didn't win, so they put it in storage and they brought it back out. And the news outlets are talking about, we're going to crack this champagne because the Bengals are going to win. And well, I don't even know if it's going to be drinkable by the time.
No, maybe not. Well, I mean, Cincinnati does have a good trifecta going on with Mixon, Burrow, and T. Higgins. So I think they have a really good shot of being consistent. But getting to the Super Bowl, unless you're a dynasty like the Patriots were, it's difficult to get there year in and year out. And it's difficult to win a Super Bowl unless you can get to the Super Bowl year in and year out.
Truth. Or at least be close enough to sniff it. I mean, the Chiefs have been in 4 AFC championships in the last 4 years.
Yep.
So, right now, that's the next dynasty on deck. Although I sincerely think that, well, I'm not going to share my thoughts on the family of a certain quarterback of a certain team that was in the AFC, but we're going to leave that alone. So we can take a champagne bath.
Yeah.
Maybe she can get a hold of the couple in Cincinnati and use the champagne bath with it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
there you go.
Yeah,
but I do think the Bengals will be back. I mean, I do think they'll be back sooner rather than later. Yeah. I mean, you can just tell that's what I like about Burrow. I mean, he's got a swagger. You could just tell that he's a good player and he knows it, and he is a smart quarterback. So I mean, he'll be back.
Very competitive too, because we won that first round, which Cincinnati hasn't done that in a long time. We're used to getting to the playoffs and losing that first game. We finally do that. How does it feel, Joe, to finally? I don't care. On to the next game. We got business to take care of. So
yeah,
I like his competitiveness, and I think we're an offensive line away from being truly elite, like people scared of Cincinnati elite. But we have to fix that offensive line and keep guys off of Joe Burrow. Otherwise, it could shorten his career.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Joe Theismann, Alex Smith, you don't want that kind of thing to happen. And you touched right on what I was getting ready to say. If they do right in the draft and they pick up some good guys to shore up that offensive line, I mean, there may be. I think this year we saw the start of a shift in the power dynamic in the AFC North. Because typically speaking, it was the last 20 years has been Ravens, Steelers, Ravens, Steelers, Ravens, Steelers, and we thought the Browns were going to challenge for a little bit, and they Dennis Greened on us. They are who we thought they were. So,
yeah, they're their own worst enemy. They are their own worst enemy.
Yeah,
I mean, you could probably see a kind of a tide shift in Cincinnati as a whole. Because I mean, look at Cincinnati, Cincinnati Wildcat.
Oh yeah.
Now, and then you got Bengals. I mean, could see a tide shift here. They're looking better.
I'm interested to see what the Bearcats are going to do, and we're going to probably get to touch on that a little bit later on the next in the subject later on in the show. But we're going to keep this thing moving on. Those of you just tuning in, hey, welcome to This Week in SEC Football. Mr. Fingaz, Collin P, welcome, and our guest, Gold and Blue Dude today, thought it not robbery to join us. We are 3 of the hardest working men in podcasting right now because 2/3 of us have got to jump on other shows. We get done for the night. Let's see what we got going on. Next question here. We're going to talk about the reason that I brought you on. You had a video, and for those of you, he does. Golden Blue Dude doesn't really do long videos. He does a video every day, somewhere between 5 to maybe 8-9 minutes, and a particular subject that he talks about. And the one that really stuck out to me was the college football playoff, because when the committee said, well, we're going to come up with a playoff system instead of waiting on the polls to decide we're going to come up with a playoff system, and they did the BCS, and everybody's like, oh, we're going to finally have a – and then after a while, it was like, nah, that doesn't work. There's too much human error involved. We hate it. We don't like it. So people griped and moaned and complained and griped and moaned and complained, and eventually they said, let's go back in the lab. And they came back with the CFP with this. And I think the initial thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, either of you, I think the initial thought process was they were going to start with 4 and see where it went and then potentially expand it.
Yep.
But we've been stuck on 4. And as much as I love to see my beloved Dogs and the conference that we represent in the playoff on a regular basis, it does after a while. It's like, I love Chinese food. I can only go about 3 days in a row before I had to, maybe switch it up and get some Popeyes or something. And America has kind of gotten the same way. It's like, okay, what a shock. Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, and Alabama. Oh, what a shock. But I think it's been my personal feeling that it should at least be expanded to 8. But GB, you had this whole different list of scenarios, and that's what I wanted you to. Dude, he was like that scene from The Office, the dude with the strings and the whiteboards. So I wanted you to explain that to our audience today about this.
Well, there was basically 3 scenarios that they were talking about. That was the 6, the 8, and the 12. and it's not. There's nothing really complicated about it. First of all, I'll say this: they didn't have to mess up this playoff idea, but they did by going from the BCS ranking system to the playoff committee. If they would have kept the BCS point system and just expanded the playoffs, we wouldn't be having this discussion. But for whatever reason, they thought that they had to change everything, and they didn't. But that being said, we are where we are. So if we expand, so this 16 playoff that they're talking about is basically, the Power Five champions get in, automatic bid, and then of course one at large, I guess is what you call it. Now at this point, you get the two top seeds, the 1 and the 2 seed, do get a bye week. I don't think in the 16 playoff that there's any home field playoff games. I still think it's as is, rotating the bowls through, all that stuff. So no home playoff games in that scenario. Not really a big fan. My thinking is don't take baby steps. Get to where you need right now. So don't be like, well, let's try 6, and then if 6 don't work, let's go to 8. No, don't do that. Get to where we want to be right now. So the next step would be the 18 playoff. Now, with the 18 playoff, there is no bye week because it's even matchups. But that also is Power 5 champs, automatic bid. But with this one, you're going to have, 3 at-large bids? No bye weeks on this. I really like this because I think you have more of a chance of maybe that Cinderella story that everybody wants. I mean, let's be honest. We're not going to be able to avoid these blowouts, okay? That's going to happen. You're going to have to live with it. Even in this 14 format, every year we have at least one blowout. This year we had 2 blowouts. Both first rounds were blowouts. It happens. So let's not try to, fix that problem because it's not going to be fixed. But if we can get something that's more engaging and, that Cinderella story is engaging, and with 8 teams, there's more likelihood that we're going to see new names in and out. But my favorite is the 12 team. I really like the 12 team playoff, and it's because it rewards teams. What we don't want to happen is for teams to quit at the end of the year because they know they're in. Let's sit back, relax, rest our starters, not play quite as hard as we need to, save our energy for the playoffs. So what the 12 team playoff does is it incentivizes, okay? So number one, like we've been talking about, the conference championships are important because you get that automatic bid, okay? So it makes that important. Number 2, top 4 seeds get a bye week. So you ain't even got to worry about that first round. Let the other 8 teams battle it out, and you'll take, whatever leftover you get. So that makes teams like Alabama's, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Ohio States, the Clemsons, the teams that are good every stinking year, play every game so they can get that bye week because that's an advantage. And then on top of that, that first round, that could be your first ever home playoff games. And I've said this several times. You watch the playoff games in the NFL, I'll even go MLB, NBA. Heck, I'll watch NHL playoff games because of the atmosphere.
CAPS, caps.
There you go. And we have never seen a college football home playoff game. Could you imagine? That would be totally insane. The regular season is already insane, but a home playoff game, that's a whole nother level. Like that would top everything. So I'm really hoping, honestly, you know what? No matter what number we pick, we have got to do that home playoff because that would be something to look forward to every stinking year. I wouldn't care if my team made it or not. I would be looking. Well, I would still care, but I would care past it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, my question is, how do you think that would affect the bowl games? Because I think that's part of the reason that they have this whole Citrus Bowl, Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl. Because everybody's got dollars invested in it. Even the crappy bowls that like only the diehard or the diehard football fans watch. Was doing the research on that, and sometimes they're clearing as much as 25, 30 million after everything is all said and done. So there's a lot of money. Do you think that they're going to have to figure out how to power shift that? Because folks that are used to getting money are not going to be so quick to be like, oh no, go ahead and have it at Sanford Stadium. We'll take this bowl game over here with Buck Tussle State and Jackson State or whatever. Although Jackson State would be a good draw. But so how do you think that would affect the whole bowl system?
Well, the way that I think about it is, well, not everybody's going to make the playoffs, right? I mean, that's the cream of the crop. Okay, so the teams under that are still going to want to be rewarded. The postseason. So that first round, you have the home playoffs, and if you want to keep rotating those whatever type, the New Year's Six type of ball through that second round, the bye week, and then under the playoffs, you're still rewarding with those top tier bowls. It's still something to play for. And basically, you're just creating a buffer between those top tier bowls and then the second round of the playoffs. So you get the home playoff games. You're not losing any money. You're actually gaining money because no bowls are going away. No bowls are going away. The only thing that's happening is 4 extra games in the first round of the playoffs as far as no bowls. Don't get rid of any bowls, no. But keep them and reward the teams that don't make the playoffs because, I'm a West Virginia fan. I don't see us making the playoffs anytime soon, but I still like it when we make a really good, maybe the Alamo Bowl, Orange Bowl, something like that. Heck yeah, I'm watching that.
Oh, yeah. Even when I don't know. I think it's crazy. Prior to last month, Georgia had not won a national championship in 41 years. And despite all of that, it's almost like, oh man, we didn't make the playoffs. I don't even know if I'm gonna watch the bowl game. And then the day of the bowl game, who am I kidding? Yeah, I'm sitting right there in front of the TV yelling, "Go Dogs!" But
exactly.
I got a question on that. How would you think that would affect the regular season schedule? Like, I mean, the games that the colleges play the regular season. I mean, since you added on the extra playoff games, how would that affect? Would they keep the same number of games during the regular season? I mean, they have to, right? Or would they have to kind of move it on down? Because I mean, that has been in the conversation before, right? I mean, just the amount of games, total, was a question. Right?
Well, the thing that would have to be figured out is, number one, do you want to keep the same amount of games, and then you're just adding one extra game in the playoffs, or you could take out one of your out-of-conference games. And I really hate mentioning this because I know it really helps the FCS, but then you could start thinking about getting rid of those FCS games. And I know that really helps those schools, but my gosh, those are tough to watch. I know every once in a while you have this crazy, oh wow, like Jacksonville State beating Florida State this year. But for the most part, it's
come on, man. We knew coming into the season that was going to happen, though.
Yeah,
it's different. It's different when you. It's different when you got a juggernaut coming in with 9 straight. Like they've got 13 straight wins going back to the previous season, and with including a national championship, and then they get down this Alabama. I'd like to call it Buck Tussle State, generic name. You got Alabama versus Buck Tussle State, and Buck Tussle State jumps up and beats Alabama, like goes blow for blow with him and beats them in a walk-off touchdown or something like that with the 2 seconds left to go in the game. Like, but Florida State, come on, man.
Yeah. Hey, what about Florida, man? They got scared. Florida got scared. They got into a shootout with the
Florida got scared, yeah.
That was crazy right there. I thought they were going to get beat. I can't remember the name of the team, but Florida was in a dogfight with the FCS team this year. I think they ended up pulling away there towards the end, but that was a crazy shootout. I mean, there was a lot of points scored in that game. Yes. But so the choice would be so if you're going to
Auburn and Georgia State,
do what?
Same with Auburn and Georgia State.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm telling you right now, Georgia State is an underrated team in the Sun Belt. They're up and coming. So I'm not trying to compare them to an FCS. They are more than capable of an upset. Now, upsetting Georgia, Alabama, probably not, but maybe like a mid to lower tier SEC team, absolutely, it will happen one day. So really the biggest thing is you might have to test it and then see what the players and coaches think of having the extra game. And if they're like, no, that's too much, then you got to figure out what game to shave off. Do you shave off that FCS or do you shave off maybe a group of 5 matchup? Either way, you're going to make somebody mad. So that's the decision that they'd have to figure out.
Yeah, well, I'm old enough to remember when the regular season was 10 games.
Yep. Me too.
Regular season was 10 games, and wherever you finished I don't even think there was a conference championship back then. They just looked at your record and went, okay, you got the best conference record, you're the champ, and this is where you're playing, and based on where you're ranked is determine whether you won the championship or not. They generally would try and match up 1 and 2 and help it. So
oh yeah, and like the farthest back that I personally can remember, I think there was a total of maybe 10 to 12 bowls altogether. 10 to 12 bowls. And now we have like over 50, 60. It's insane.
That's crazy.
Well, it fluctuates from year to year. It depends on how much money the investors, because these folks, it's a big business now. Like there's folks that are making enough money off of maybe 6 months worth of preparation. They're making enough money to live off of for an entire year. So
problem is, here's the problem.
Or at least by my standards, because I know how much I make. I know what those folks make. I can definitely afford to sit back for 6 months.
Then there's that human element, though, because we all got to remember they're voting on these playoff expansions. And the problem right now is you have, quote, the Alliance, which is the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 on one side of the street. Then on the other side of the street, you have the SEC, the Mountain West, and Notre Dame. And I don't know exactly what majority vote, which way it has to go. But right now, they can't come together and figure it out. And what the Alliance is claiming is that the SEC and all the others that were wanting the 12 team, which that group right there was wanting the 12 team, the Alliance was claiming that they left out some major details, like how would it affect the regular season? How would it affect all the other academics? How would it affect this? How would it affect that? And that's why they voted against it. They said that they weren't saying that they were against it. They just want to know how it's going to affect other things before they can say yes. So right now they're just trying to figure out the details to get a unanimous vote.
I think they're posturizing, honestly, to tell you the truth, because let's be real. The bottom line for those athletic programs is how much money are we – I'm not trying to dog. I know a lot of the coaches and things try and pour into the programs and make sure – like Mark Richt was real big on increase the graduation rate amongst the players and things like that. But for the bottom line is the bottom line. Yeah. So they're trying to work out a bottom line where everybody, because SEC schools took home $54.8 million a piece after they split up the revenue. Everybody wants to figure out how they're going to split up this revenue, and the Alliance doesn't like their share. That's what it is. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's like a catch-22, because if you expand the playoffs, there's going to be more SEC teams in there, like maybe 3 or 4. But at the same time, it gives the other conferences opportunities. Pac-12 hasn't been there in 6-7 years, at least, and at least it would guarantee them 1 team, maybe 2 if they have a really great year. Same with the ACC, same with the Big 12. They just don't like that it increases the chances for the SEC. Like, you got to make the money that you can make. You can't help how good your conference is or how bad it is. You can't ensure, if they get 3 or 4, then we need 3 or 4. That's not how it works. It goes by the performance of your conference. And I know the SEC is considered the bully. They're just – it is what it is. Look at the records. Look at the performance. You can't go by anything else.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, Pac-12, ACC, Mountain West, Big Ten. If you're that concerned, and I'm not trying to be the dude. Like, if you're that concerned about it, do better. Do better. Exactly. Stabilize your athletic programs. Figure out how to recruit yourself and get you some of them 5- and 8-star players that they're growing up down in back of the hill, Georgia, and top of the knob in Tennessee, and then get those guys to come to your programs and get yourself some stability with your coach. Oh God, coaching is just gonna get to a point where it's gonna be hard to keep anybody anywhere.
Yeah.
If I was an 18-year-old kid right now, as I live in Oklahoma City, if I was an 18-year-old kid right now who was getting ready to graduate in May, I'd be mad as hell, because Lincoln Riley would have been talking to me about coming to OU.
Yeah. You know what the crazy thing is? On one side of the aisle, you had the ACC. I'm going to say it again. The ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12. On the other side, you have Notre Dame. What is Notre Dame doing on the other side of the ACC with this issue? Like that one doesn't make any sense. That's another thing that really ticks me off is people have got to stop playing patty cake with Notre Dame. Don't associate yourself with Notre Dame if they're not going to be all in. If you want to schedule with them, that's fine. But don't say, "Oh,
watch me give you the Denzel Washington
ACC.
finger."
Yeah,
That's
don't
the
give
Denzel
them
Washington finger right there.
cut or scheduling arrangement, whatever. All in or all out. And if they're not all in, then they're all out. And stop doing this patty cake crap. And this is what happens too. They're not part of the ACC, so they can jump on the other side of the aisle. The ACC got what they deserved as far as, not making Notre Dame do what they need to do.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, yeah, wow. You're absolutely right on all counts. I sincerely hope to see some sort of resolution because I really want to see something that's I just think that my personal thought, and then we got to move on to our next topic. My personal thought is that you have the league that all of these players aspire to get to, and it's really simple. If you win your conference, you get in. It's simple. Win your conference. You know what I'm saying? Win your conference and you're in. And what's so hard about doing that is stop worrying about this conference being dominant or that conference being dominant. We all know right now for the next few years, unless chaos happens, yes, all roads are probably going to have to go through Kansas City. But win your conference, you can get in the playoffs. And look what happened. The Bengals beat them.
Bengals, baby.
So win your conference and you're in. Moving on, we're going to touch on this real brief, man. Brian Harsin and Auburn. I don't know.
Yikes.
Well, let me ask the question, and let me just ask the question and then pass it to you. Everybody, if you've been living under a rock, Brian Harsin, quarterback at Boise State, stayed on as a graduate assistant. Wound up going to, was it Arizona State is where he wound up, left there and went to Arizona State, wound back up at Boise State.
Yep.
Coached them, won several conference championships and divisional championships, leaves Boise State, winds up at Auburn after Gus Malzahn gets shown the door. First season, started out 6-2. We mentioned the shaky game against Georgia State. Other than that, they were off to a great start. We were saying here on the show that could be the team to challenge Bama in the West. And then they lost 5 straight, to include 2 losses to unranked Mississippi State and South Carolina. And then completely rolled over and played dead in the back half of the Iron Bowl after holding Alabama scoreless. And at some point, they fired their OC, Mike Bobo, who is now back in Georgia as an offensive
basically an analyst,
advisor and an offensive analyst. Derek Mason came on. Remember, Derek Mason was coach at Vanderbilt. He left
That was a good coach.
And took a $400,000 pay cut to go to Oklahoma State in the same position. Had another offensive coordinator come in and replace Mike Bobo. He got here. He looked around for 6 weeks and he went, no. And he walked it. And then 18 players have left the program. That doesn't count. That's up to
20. That's up to 20.
Yeah, it's 20. 2-0. Yeah,
they've had 20 players leave, and this is via the transfer portal. We're not even talking folks that are eligible for the draft.
Yeah.
And no signings on signing day. So they started investigating, and people said he's got a side chick. People said he's kicking players like Urban Meyer. People said he doesn't like kids that come from less than where he comes from. And after all of that, much like the Shakespeare, the great Shakespearean line, it is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. After all of that, Brian Harsin gets to keep his job.
You know why he's still there? Do you know why he's still there?
Because they owe him $18 million
money.
that they fired.
Money. Yeah, and they did that investigation to see if they can find just cause. Apparently, he's good at hiding stuff or whatever, under the rug, whatever. Couldn't find the just cause, so he's staying there. Here's the thing. Even Brian Harsin knows he's – if you know that somebody wants you fired, tried to get you fired, but couldn't fire you, I mean, that's got to be a little bit, a stressful situation or awkward situation. Even though you still have your job, you know they don't want you there. So this whole situation makes no sense. I've never seen anything like it as far as this specifically. And Auburn better produce. Auburn better produce because, number one, Harsin will be under the gun. Number two, the people that kept him are really going to be under the gun. And that fan base is not going to be happy, and things might go down south real fast at Auburn.
Well, they can thank the boosters for that, though.
Exactly.
The
The good
boosters,
old boys club.
Collin, you got anything to throw in here, brother?
Well, no, I mean, I was going back to our last show. You know, they had to add a rule to the rule book there at the university that the coaches, if being investigated, had to cooperate with the investigation, with the authorities. They had to actually add that rule to the rule book because, you know, Arson was like, nah, plead the fifth. You know, he wasn't cooperating at all. And I was telling Anthony, I was like, well, I mean, yeah, I guess it's the fifth is in the Constitution, whatever. But I mean, you expect that to already be a rule that you need. If your investigation being, you know, conducted on you, you would, you know, as a coach of the university, you had to, you know, cooperate. But
I can just see him. I can see him in the meet. I can see him in the meetings right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, exactly. You just sit there like, I ain't got nothing.
But
when in doubt, fifth it out.
Yeah, but the boosters did that because the boosters wanted Malzahn gone.
Yeah,
and the boosters went to the AD and said, "This is the guy we want," and give him what he wants. And look at his resume. And I mean, his resume looked good on paper.
Yep.
He just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah,
could not make it happen. And now here they are. And now they're like the Huey Lewis song from the 1980s. They're just stuck with you. So you're just gonna have to deal. Hey, good luck to you, Auburn.
But you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? You go back to that 6-2 start. They beat freaking Arkansas when Arkansas was really hot, and they beat Ole Miss.
Oh man,
they beat Ole Miss, and everybody forgets about that because of the 5 losing streak, 5-game losing streak.
Ole Miss, the only other team that beat Ole Miss was who? Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then the overtime game with Alabama, where they had that game won up until the very end of the fourth quarter, and Alabama pulled it off. That was crazy. And I know that's a rivalry game, but I'm saying overall, I think the team had talent. The wheels came off for whatever reason.
Yeah, the wheels completely fell. Well, a big part of it was, and we don't have anything to substantiate this, but we all know that Bigsby was looking for this to be his big year, and Bo Nix was doing the bulk of the carries. Mm-hmm. And then he gets happy feet in the pocket. We've been saying that all season. The boy gets happy feet in the pocket. If his first read is not open, he gets happy feet. And the next thing you know, he's gone. Yep. And and Harsin didn't know how to reel that in and do something to say, hey, look, you got this running back right here. Because remember, Bigsby was going to hit the transfer portal until he found out that Nix was transferring.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. See, that's the problem with I think Bo Nix is a good quarterback, but his patience is not where it needs to be. He has got to learn more patience. If he learned more patience, he could be an elite quarterback. He really could.
Well, here's the problem.
Did he have the protection? I mean, did he have the protection at Auburn to have that kind of patience? I mean, it just, I don't know. I mean, sometimes he did. Some of the plays I saw, he could have definitely sat in the pocket a little bit longer. But that was one of the conversations we were having is like if he goes and if he actually has a good offensive line, will that kind of, since he's used to having happy feet and running around, how is that going to affect him when he actually has protection? You know what I mean? Who knows how he's going to play? But I mean,
yeah. I mean, you see what happened with Spencer Rattler. I mean, Spencer, aside up until the Red River game, he wasn't getting beat up too bad, like offensively. The offensive line was in, but it wasn't like Cincinnati Bengals in. And he would seriously first read. If his first read wasn't there, he was lost.
Yeah,
he was completely lost. He's just standing in the pocket. But I think one of the biggest problems with Bo Nix, not to knock the kid, he's very talented, but we're starting to see it a lot more where you have these kids who are just absolute studs in high school. And you know how it goes. It's the attrition rate. It's like you're a stud in high school, and then you get to college and you walk on campus and you're like the heir apparent. Again, to go back to Rattler, because there was a whole QB1 special about him on ESPN. So when he showed up in Norman, all I heard on sports radio was Spencer Rattler, Spencer Rattler, Spencer Rattler, Spencer Rattler. And this kid's going to carry us to this blah, 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 blah. Without ever having played it down. And then, so.
He got inside his own head, and he couldn't get it out.
That's one of the things, and people tend to forget that these college players are still kids, man.
Yep.
I mean, most of them are
on a big stage.
They're kids on a big stage that are just a few years removed from high school. And I don't know about y'all, but I know how awkward I was in high school If I started breakdancing back in 1985 and more than 2 people started looking at me, I stopped dancing and went on about my business. So
I can't imagine the crowds that these kids are playing in front of, but true story, I was a basketball player in high school, won 2 high school championships, 1 church league. I was recruited, but then I was diagnosed with spondylitis, so they had to drop the recruitment. But the point of this is, in those high pressure high school games, the championship games, the atmosphere was crazy. So to take that up 10,000 notches and then knock it into football, I really don't know how they handle it. I really don't, because those situations that I were in high school, those were high pressure. So I can't even imagine what they're going through.
Yeah, you think about a high school football game, unless the school is huge, like the 2 schools that are playing are huge. Because I'd say about 75-80% of the time, it's about maybe a couple thousand people there on a Friday night. You go from 2,000 people, and you're maybe 1,000 kids in your class, or maybe 3,000 people that know you as being famous, right? And they're screaming for you. You go from that to a Jordan Hare Stadium in Auburn, or a Bryant Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa that sits like 90 to 100,000 people, and they're all looking and screaming, and you got the band and the cheerleaders and all the cameras and the light. I mean, kudos to those kids that come to step up as true freshmen and are able to get it done.
I get awestruck as a fan because I live about 10 minutes away from Clemson. So I've walked by and I've seen game day. I've been there and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so, like, being a player, that's got to be mind blowing. I mean, absolutely mind blowing. I don't know how they don't have the deer in the headlights situation more than what they do.
More than what they do, yeah, I agree. Yeah. And all that sound kind of filtering down toward the field. I mean, you can't hear anything. I mean, just all the noise. That's gonna be insane.
My father played football for Savannah State University in the 1960s, and he said the biggest thing is you get the butterfly. And I played football right up until high school, and I popped my shoulder, and my mom was like, "You're not playing football. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to hurt yourself." And of course, here I am hosting podcasts. But he said you get the butterflies, like right before kickoff. You get the butterflies, and they pretty much stay with you until the first time you hit pad on pad, and then after that, that's where you see who came to play.
Right.
Who came to play.
Really, I mean, it was sort of the same way in basketball. Of course, there's no hitting or anything like that, but the first go around, first set of defense, all that stuff. You're okay. I'm in a game. There for a minute, I forgot where I was, but now I know I'm in a game. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, still, that atmosphere is. I mean, I don't know. I can't even explain it because even
coming from where I went to high school. Going to high school, we were single A. I mean, like, I don't know if you noticed, GB. I went to high school with Champ Bailey and all the Bailey boys down there. Oh. So that's where I'm from. I'm from Charlton County, down about 4 miles from Florida Georgia State line. So, we were single A. And, going from, like you guys were talking about, going from something like that to the big stage, man. It was talking about 2,000 people. I mean, think about 1,000, we're a small town. So, I mean, going from that into the big stage like that, man.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to move on into our next segment. Those of you that are just joining us, welcome to This Week in SEC Football. I am Mr. Fingaz, my co-host, the brother from another. I had to hold my hand like this. I can't stretch all the way out now because the 3 of us on the screen. My co-host, Collin, there. And all the way on the far side over there is our homie, the ace, Golden Blue Dude. He's going to be on live. He's going to be on live, and you're going to be on your YouTube channel. I can't talk. The Coca-Cola made my tongue numb. He's going to be live on his YouTube channel, Golden Blue Dude. I'll throw that up right before we get out of here. Y'all want to check him out? He'll be live at 8 Eastern, you said?
Yes, sir.
8 Eastern. And we're going to also this segment is sponsored by another one of our segment sponsors, Envision Social Media. Giving you the ability to empower, create, and sustain. Having problems with your social media platform, making it work for you, not getting enough clicks, not getting enough likes, not getting enough feedback. Get with the people at Envision Social Media, and they will get you hooked up today. Visit them today at www.envisionsocialmedia.com. Thank you for being a sponsor of This Week in SEC Football. All right, we're going to talk about our next segment. We know that right now the ACC, oh my God, I'm so backwards. The Mountaineers are in the ACC. Not the ACC, the Mountaineers are in the Big 12. Oh my God.
Big 12. There we go. We got it.
We'll get it there.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not in
They're in the Big 12. And you all are there until I believe you said the grant of rights expires in 2025. Is that when you have until
2025? Yep.
2025. So if you decide not to sign, you are free to go anywhere without having to pay a buyout. But
as long as we give that 18-month notice.
As long as you give an 18-month notice. So
yep.
What do you think right now, as Big 12 as it is right now, do you see there being a potential power shift? Because for the longest time, before I moved out here, the only thing I really knew about the Big 12 was Oklahoma, Texas. I didn't even really know who else was in the Big 12. I mean, I figured by default that Oklahoma State because the same state. But what do you see there being a power shift now with Lincoln leaving and going to California?
I think we're already seeing it even before he left. Oklahoma didn't win the Big 12 this year. Baylor came out of nowhere. Nobody expected Baylor. Dave Aranda is looking like a really good coach now. And now Lincoln Riley is over at USC. Oklahoma is leaving with Texas to the SEC. So I think the power shift was happening before, Oklahoma heading off to the SEC. So it's definitely going to happen now because Oklahoma is going to be gone. Baylor, I think it's too soon to say anything because Baylor was really good before Dave Aranda got there. Matt Rule had Baylor humming. I mean, he had them humming. Mm-hmm. And then last year they had a down year, but they still had Matt Rule's guys there from that. I believe it was 11-win season in, 2019, 2020, something like that.
2019.
So they were really good. So I think Baylor has the potential to be the leader in the Big 12. It's just the jury's still out on Dave Aranda. He looks like a good coach, but it's only the first year of great success since he's been at Baylor. The other team, I guess, would be Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy. The longevity, he's been right there the entire time, but Oklahoma has kind of overshadowed them year after year after year. Sooners are going to be gone, but then you got to remember the teams coming in. The teams coming in. You got BYU coming in. You got Houston coming in. You got Cincinnati coming in. You got UCF coming in. Honestly, I think the team out of all four that have the big potential to take over the Big 12 is BYU. BYU has a great fan base. Their coach, he's proving himself. I thought BYU was going to have a down year because Zach Wilson is gone to the NFL. They didn't miss a beat. In fact, they might have been a little bit better. They owned the Pac-12. They were 5-0 against the Pac-12 South. I consider them the Pac-12 South champs because they whooped them. So it could be BYU, Baylor, and Oklahoma State on the first tier as far as in the next, 5-8 years. And then, who knows what will happen after that. But right now, those are the three teams that I keep my eye on in the Big 12.
Now, what do you think about Cincinnati and their chances of making a splash? I mean, they got their feelings hurt in the playoffs this year, but it is no small feat to rattle off, 13 last season, and I think 13 years. I think they had 26 wins in the last two seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no small feat. And, coach is doing big things up there. So what do you think about them and the splash they'll make in the conference once they get there?
I think they will make a splash, but the reason I'm putting BYU a little bit higher than Cincinnati is because BYU plays Power Fives year in and year out. They do have some Group of Fives on their schedule, but most of their schedule is a Power Five. I consider BYU a Power Five team because that's what most of their schedule is. So there will be an adjustment period for Cincinnati into the Big 12 because there is a huge difference between playing one or two Power Five teams a year and turning that into, 8 or 9, maybe 10 Power 5 teams per year. So there's going to be an adjustment. I'm not saying they're going to be bad or anything like that. They'll be in the upper tier. I just don't think that they'll be competing for a Big 12 championship right off the bat. I think they'll have to, it'll take a few years for them to get used to the scheduling, the upgrade, all that stuff. But they'll be in the mix. I just don't think championship material immediately. And they're losing a ton of talent. Cincinnati's one of these teams where they don't recruit at an elite level year after year. They recruit okay for a Power Five, for a group of five, and moving into the Big 12 is actually going to help with their recruiting. But they kind of remind me of West Virginia, where we recruit okay, but there's that magical year once every 4 or 5 years where the experience catches up with that recruiting. And I think that's what Cincinnati is looking at right now, because they haven't been this good for very long.
Nah, matter of fact, I had completely forgotten about the previous season when they took us down to the wire in the Peach Bowl the previous season.
Yep.
So they're very, very impressive squad, what I've seen of them so far. You were talking about BYU. I think BYU will be all right as long as they don't have Coastal Carolina on their schedule. I said that out loud, didn't I? I said that out loud.
Yep.
Shout outs to those of y'all watching. Homeboy and my classmate, AJ Johnson. Appreciate you tuning in. He's got a comment here. So that's why Riley left OU. He knew it would be next to impossible to win a conference championship in the SEC.
Hey, didn't BYU beat the Big 12 champs last year and Baylor as well?
I believe they did.
Yeah.
I believe they did. So we're gonna keep this thing humming on along here, because we know you got somewhere to get, and I'm looking at the clock. I don't mean to rush, but fellas, we have touched on just about everything that we wanted to touch on, and we are almost right up at that 1 hour mark. So we're doing really, really, really good here. Hey, there's 2 weeks in a row, Collin. I don't know what it is.
Right on the money.
Right on the money. We're at like the 56-minute mark here. So those of you that are watching, thank you for tuning in. We're kind of winding down the back end of This Week in SEC Football, episode 3. We got Gold and Blue Dude here with us today. So why don't you tell us where the folks can find you?
YouTube. Now I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm actually on Facebook as well, and I'm working on TikTok. Not there yet, so you can find me there. But the main place is YouTube. All you gotta do, Gold and Blue Dude everywhere. Nothing different.
Now that's where you can find him. I got Gold and Blue Dude. He puts up. Wait a minute. Let me see if I got your spiel right. Hey guys, what's going on? It's your guy Gold and Blue Dude, where we give you at least one video every day. We talk college football all the time. That's my number one sport. We also talk college basketball as the season is rolling in. We got the March Madness rolling in, but we do try and give you one video every day. And before you go any further, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Get to check us out and drop us a comment if you like what we're talking about. And even if you want to call me stupid, you can do that too. And now let's get into our video, or even better yet, this is Gold and Blue Dude with another car video.
Yeah. I'm
telling you, I've been watching. I have seen I've seen just about every video since I peeped you back in September.
You got it down, man. Always word for word.
This guy, awesome comment. I'm going to tell you this. You see a lot of guys that come on and they do, they give these hot takes, or I heard this rumor and I read it on some subset at the bottom of the page, one of those janky links you click at the bottom of Bleacher Report that leads you to some other sport. And then they come on and say, well, I can't confirm, but we heard that Lincoln Riley was caught in a Dunkin' Donuts at 4:00 wearing a baby diaper. Like, he doesn't give you any of that crap. No speculation, no nothing. He just comes out and gives you hard facts, good stats. Every now and again, you almost were spot on with Lincoln Riley and where he was going.
Yeah, that was a touchy one right there. Timing was a little off, but yeah, it was right there.
Yeah, you almost had it nailed down exactly where he was going and everything. So, but he gives you good takes, lots of stats, very entertaining. It's not as long as this show. My attention span is very short, so 5 to 9 minutes is perfect for me. But you need to check.
I've done my research. Yeah.
So y'all need to go over and check out our guy Gold and Blue Dude. He's going live right after we get off here in about 18 minutes. So let's go ahead and move into our final segment, the 2-minute warning. This one is sponsored by segment sponsor 1906 Tees. You saw the laser engraved mugs. You saw the Afghans. This guy can give you custom made T-shirts. go over there and holler at him today. You can see him at 1906tees.com. Just like I said, thank you for being a segment sponsor on This Week in SEC Football. 2-minute warning is basically, GB, it's just, we just kind of, sometimes we give a final thought. Sometimes it's cheesy, like the stuff Jerry Springer used to say at the end of his show. Sometimes we just, I don't know. But as our guest, we're going to let you go ahead and go first with your final word of the day before we let you get out of here.
This is going to be completely random and not related to anything we've said today. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but there is an event called the Slob Olympics, March 10th through March 13th. YouTubers are qualified to participate in the event. Guess what? You guys are YouTubers. So I am inviting you guys to the Slob Olympics. I understand if you can't make it, but I'm going to be there. Uncle Lou's going to be there. Pigskin Pete's going to be there. BVD's going to be there. All the guys that you know on YouTube are going to be there. You can be there and meet them and participate. If you don't want to participate, that's okay too. You can just be there and chill out and hang out, video everything, whatever you want to do. It's a great avenue to make videos for your channel as well because some great things happen there.
What? Okay, can you break down for me what the Slob Olympics are?
So basically, what the Slob Olympics, YouTubers, right? If you're a sports YouTuber, you're invited. Whether we actually invite you or not, because there's a lot of us out there. Okay, so we have these events there that we compete, and it's not your ordinary events. Like last year, we had paper, rock, scissors. We had cornhole. There's a few physical, like we had push-ups and 40-yard dash, but for the most part, it's just fun, slobbish activities.
Wait, he said 40-yard dash.
Body, all that stuff. This year, we're going to be doing a mustard bottle throw in honor of that game this year. Last year, we did the shoe throw in honor of the LSU Florida game. So it's a lot of just fun things that we think of, and we're like, sounds like a good idea. Let's make it an event.
Bama does what Bama do.
That ain't it.
I think there was 17. I placed 7th. And this year the betting odds are out, and they have me at like 12th. They're underestimating me again. And there was 3 events that got me. And it was paper, rock, scissors, cornhole, and the shoe throw. If it wasn't for that, I would have been top 3. So I'm out to prove them wrong again.
Now, where are the Slob Olympics taking place?
Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Oh, that's about that's not
about a 3-hour drive for me.
3 hours for you. I'm 8 hours from Memphis, and Memphis is on the southwest corner, so it depends on how far. When are they?
March 10th, March 13th. Now it's the event isn't all 3 days; it's just one day, but we designate 3 days in case you want to hang out with us. We have hotel reservations, all that stuff. So basically, we take over the town.
Okay, I might have gotten a notification a little late to make it this year due to some prior commitments, but you can put me down for next year. It's gonna be y'all gonna be ashamed. Y'all gonna be mad when a 53-year-old overweight dude shows up and smoke y'all in a 40-yard dash.
See, we just found out about each other. So if we would have found out maybe a couple months ago, you might have been able to make it. So, but next year,
okay.
Man. And locations changed. Last year was Atlanta. This year they moved it up to Pigeon Forge. So,
well, have it out here in Oklahoma City. Damn it! Then all I got to do is get my car drive across town.
We might be able to move it over to Memphis, something like that.
Okay, Memphis. Hey, my parents are in Memphis.
That's a great city too.
I could just crash at my parents' house. I won't even have to pay for a hotel.
There you go.
Well, hey, appreciate you hipping us up to the Slob. You heard it first, ladies and gentlemen, the Slob Olympics. I thought I saw something about that, and I didn't get a chance to check it out. So now I'm definitely going to have to go back and check it out.
And training videos are popping out. Keep your eyes for that. I'm going to have mine out this week, so it's going to be good.
It's just slow motion of GB in the mirror, like.
Oh, yeah. Stuff like that. Yep. Exactly right. Now we're on the same wavelength.
I got you. Yeah. Look, I'm good for stuff like that. Colin, what you got for the 2 minutes?
No, I'm digging the Slob. Hey, he said the Slob Olympics, digging that mustard throw, man. That's right in my wheelhouse. But
I was trying to find that doggone video. I did a 30-second clip. I'll have to send you the link, GB. I did a clip. And then Colin jumped on top of that, too.
Going blue, dude, man. I appreciate you jumping on, dude. I mean, honestly, I checked out some stuff and I really enjoy what you're doing. And like we had talked beforehand before we actually went live, and I appreciate you, let us, know how everything can go on. And, we look at the previous episodes and we can only grow more than, from the ones we did beforehand. But enjoy all your content, and I appreciate you joining us. Thank
Anytime,
you.
man. Anytime.
Yeah. And my 2-minute warning, my last thought is, well, I got a question and then I got a last thought. My question is, what was the deal with the concept of the glasses? Because you look very much like you want to say Mr. Anderson.
Yeah. Well, it's really twofold. It's actually a function. I got when I look, you can see my studio lights. They're really bright. And another thing is reading stats. So it's easy on my eyes for the lights, and it's easy on editing. See, right now I'm looking down at my laptop, and you can't even tell. So it helps with my editing, and it helps with studio lights. That's how it happened.
I got you. Well, see, you get yourself some of the transitional lenses like your boy, and just sit down and they just turn black on you. I'm still getting used to these because I've never had a pair. So the first time I had them, I went outside to take the trash out, came back inside, like, who the hell closed all the windows, all the curtains?
All the blinds.
Like,
that's actually
the windows are open? What the hell? Oh, okay. My final thought, my final thought of the day for the 2-minute warning. You know what? Honestly, I'm just gonna use an old military term. I'm gonna piggyback on the top of what Collin said, man. I got a buddy that runs a podcast, and he talked about a couple of weeks ago. It's like, man, if you just the podcast community for the most part, unless they've gotten to that Joe Rogan type level, everybody supports everybody. It's like one big family. All you got to do is reach out. And it's like, well, you know what? Let me hit my man GB up and see if he'd be interested in coming on the show. And we have a real life YouTube legend in the making sitting with us right here. So
I appreciate it.
So when I'm riding to Memphis to the Slav Olympics next year, and I hear you on XM Sirius, I'll be like, I know that dude.
We go way back.
Hey, but before you know it, they're going to be doing the same thing, because I never thought somebody would call me a YouTube legend in the making. Never, never, never. So it's going to happen to you too, man. It's going to happen to you too.
I put it like this: I have never, I've never seen anybody go from the subscribers jump through the roof. I've seen videos go viral, but as far as the subscribers going through the roof, unless they were already famous or somebody that already had something out that got famous, or had like my other channel has like 200 subscribers or something like that. And if one of my videos went viral and then I got famous, then I would have a whole bunch of subscribers. I just watched you double your subscribership in 4 months.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. It really blew me away, because I'm just being myself on my channel. So I'm just like, wow, they just like me for me. So,
Was there any specific time that actually your subscribers jumped that much? I mean, was there any specific episode that people jumped on? Or?
Well, I've noticed a trend. Number one, the more subscribers you have, the bigger the jump's going to be, and the time frame that you're going to get your jump. So mark it down, have your material ready. It's going to be between that July and September mark. So if there's ever a time that you don't want to miss your videos, it's between July and September. And the more subscribers you have, the bigger jump you have. So this year, I'm really focusing on that stretch. And hopefully, now last year, like you said, I jumped maybe 2,500 in that span. This year, I'm looking to jump maybe 5,000 in that span. So we'll see what happens. But when you start figuring things out, there is an art to it. There is certain timing. Like right now, we both know this is the downtime. But if you can just keep grinding, keep gaining, then you'll get to that spot where the big jump's coming. And if you're prepped and ready to go, it's going to happen.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Good info, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Well, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you for joining us today for episode 3 of This Week in SEC Football. On behalf of our sponsors, GreekGans.com, 1906tees.com, and VisionSocialMedia.com, I am Mr. Fingaz. This is my co-host, Collin. GB, thank you again for stopping by, man. I know you probably going to have to jet right after I hit the drop-off button. Collin, I need to holler at you after we get offline. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you for tuning in. And to answer your question, Mr. Smarty Pants, no, I did not get in contact with Kirby Smart about coming on the show. Did you see the end of year reclip when I talked about having Kirby on the show?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, we did a best of season 1, and I had this bit where I talked about. I wonder how many gym sessions his strength and conditioning coach can skip because he gets a total workout keeping Kirby from running on the field. And so it kind of reminds me of like it kind of reminds me of like when people used to put the vests on their kids and put leashes on them, and that's what this guy's doing. And we went on this whole thing about that, and then we were like, "Hey, coach, I'm sorry, but if you want to come on the show, we'd be more than welcome to have you on." Kirby's got hops. He needs to have gone in the NBA.
Anyway,
yeah, he did. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. We'll catch you next week. We'll have a couple of more shorts coming for you later on this week. But in the meantime, be good to yourselves and good to each other. And as we say to you, as we get, I'm stuttering because I don't know what you all say when you're in. What do y'all say to Mountaineers? What do y'all say?
Let's go Mountaineers.
Let's go Mountaineers. Okay, can I get a let's go? Can I get a let's go Mountaineers from the Gold and Blue dude?
Let's go Mountaineers.
And from Collin and me, we're gonna close it out like we always do it. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
We'll see you next week.